and entitled Assessing Different Inoculant Treatments for Improved Production of Hydrogen through Dark Fermentation. The research is making a new checking how this wastewater treatment sludge should be pretreated to form acetic pathway, because the natural pathway we would like to obtain acetic, because only in modified bacteria can be genetically can be omitted, but it's very hard. Therefore, the Professor Ross, with his team, try to find what method is used. The pH checking is that pH is acid shock of pH 3 and basic shock and heat shock. Basic shock is giving inoculant to 10 and heat shock. And as a result, the highest was heat shock per treatment. However, butyric acid was also the highest. Why hydrogen they want to make? Because it's promising energy carrier. And as you see, can be from different substrate, but modeling is by glucose, because general pathway from 4 to 12 is moles due to Taylor rule is from glucose. Therefore, checking the influence of that fermentation is made on glucose, because from glucose there is pathway conversion to pyruvate, and from pyruvate there we have cell acid, propionate, succinate, lactate, acetate, caprate acids. If we use this propionic acid, the use mostly will come to ethanol, less to hydrogen. If using acetic pathway, we can form molecules. If going to the butyric acid, only 2 molecules. And these are varieties that could appear in fermentation. And there are several points, because were proposed by only chemical and aeration, but the researcher as most important decide pH and mostly industrially available stuff. We decided to use heat shock, basic shock, and base and heat shock. Heat shock was 115 degrees for 20 minutes at pressure of 1.5 bar. In case of basic, we use for pH 10 of sodium hydroxide and store in 4 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees, and then return by chloric acid to pH of 7. In case of acid shock, the similar case was for pH 3 by chloric acid and stored for 4 degrees for 24 hours. So, and as the effect of this three, the result measured by pH meter and using p-value, we get three results. Of pH of was 5.5, so quite according to literature, the most suitable as middle between 5 and 6. As a result, we got that in basic treatment and heat shock was similar. Alkalinity and pH. And volatile solid was the highest in heat shock. So the most organic matter is in heat shock case. Because not is acid and base reduce in compared to glucose. As a result, we get that cumulative yield, the highest cumulative hydrogen production is the one is in heat shock 180 milliliters per gram glucose, and the least was in case of basic shock. Even lower than untreated barnacle. The case is that in was heat shock is always the highest, but in 4 days time, after 2 days, the untreated inoculum give high hydrogen production than in case of acid and basic shock. Therefore, is used. But what is important of basic shock? Like in basic shock, we produce more acetic acid. As 48% of liquid is acetic acid. Why in case of rest are 30% just. And the heat shock is slightly higher than in basic. And this shows it is that butyric acid was highest level is heat shock, so the lowest with basic. And the acetic pathway give and basic give similarly with 2% higher efficiency of acetic, but it doesn't give hydrogen yield potential better than in heat shock. Why? Because as you see, basic shock and acid shock gave lower organic matter and lower conversion because acid and base they flushed the organic matter that could be converted into hydrogen. Therefore, hydrogen production was lower. And as we see, that heat shock is the most efficient. However, it doesn't give the highest acetic acid production because waste pretreatment method reduce organic matter and therefore they reduce hydrogen production and less conversion. So this shows to the why heat shock method is the best. Thank you very much for listening me.